Congratulations to you all. We've done a great job in knowing more better on quality seed sourcing. We need to improve our knowledge practice more on how can we save our seed. So, moving further, moving further, we need to know why do we need to store our seed? Of what importance it is to us as a farmer. I remain Nafisa Lawa. Thank you all for joining me today in this Farmer Insights edition. I hope my podcast made you well, and I do hope you're all doing fine. If so, let's do this together again. Why do we need to store our seed? After we've been able to know much better on quality seed sourcing. If you are a farmer that do practice open pollinated and they do cultivate open pollinated seeds, okay, it is more likely for you that you can still replant some of your harvested grains and still replant them as seed because they can still perform better even though they could not perform best as their parental seed that you've planted before. So, okay, what happened to you? Like, if you're a kind of farmer that do um cultivate hybrid seed, you understand. Okay, what about if you buy your seed maybe because of normally if you want to um cultivate when you want to raise your seed or seedling for like vegetables crops, you need to have a extra like 20% or 30% extra. So probably during those calculation or maybe all forces circumstances happen and you need to reduce your numbers of count of seed you need to sow, and probably you still have some seed left over that you need to keep and for the maybe for the next planting season, and you can add more to it. So either of these category you fall into, you need to have a knowledge of how did you store and save your seed for a longer period, and how can you keep them intact for any time you need it to plant them, sow that seed back. So, and that is why it's very important we take this podcast more serious and more important. And how do we not only storing that seed, how do we store this seed in an eco-friendly manner? So, and that is why they will have this topic, eco-friendly seed storage. So, let's unravel this discussion together and let's move further. We are going to look much more in what are the ideal seed for storage, what are the conditions for seed storage, and how do we store our seed for a longer period of time. What are the ideal seeds for storage? Yes, what type of seed can we store and what type of seed can we store? It is important for you to know that your hybrid seed, after you've planted them, after you sow them, you transplant or you plant them, you don't save their seed back for you replanting because they will not retain the 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 same potential of what you experienced in your first planting. So they're not meant for you to replant or you resow whatever method you want to use. So, but if you cultivate open pollinated seed, you understand, it is, you can see there's a practice called farmer safe seed. You can still select the good one from this seed and still save them well, provided you keep them dormant and you can plant them, you can replant them for the next season. So please, it is important to get this information right and don't um don't get this information twisted. When you have an hybrid seed, they are not meant for you to replant. Once you sow the seed, you harvest your produce. That's all. But if it's an open pollinated seed, you can have a practice called farmer safe seed, where you can have some seeds saved and you can still plant them for the next season. But know that those seeds you save will not retain the same parental material or viability or the potential you experience in the first planting season. You will not experience that same results in your next planting. So it is important we note that point. So, and that's what brings this idea. What are the ideal seed for storage? So when we get this clear, we can know that okay, this is the kind of seed we can store, and this is the kind of seed we cannot store. Okay, talking about hybrid seed again, we should know that okay, are they being I bought a seed, I bought an hybrid seed variety now, and maybe the seed I intended to use, maybe I bought like 1,000 pack seed, and at the end I end up sowing like maybe 500 seed, and I still have 500 seed left. So it is advisable for me to still keep those 500 seed intact, provided that the expiring date is not closer or nearer, so I can still keep them and still add it more to my next planting season. So how will I keep that seed safe, intact, and to still remain its viability for my next planting season? So that is why we need to pay more attention to this podcast. Yeah, this is a very eco-friendly idea, and this image was sourced from Pinterest. It's a very amazing idea, but one of sustainable actors that designed this kind of where you can recycle your carton to, and it can be as a seed pack, a seed tray or seed box for you, so you can arrange your seed pack, and it's easy for you to pick them up and keep them well. You understand? So um part of you storing your seed is another thing. Another important aspect of seed storage is good record keeping, and you having a easy access to those seed. So looking at this image here, you can have tomato, pepper. So it's if I need tomato seed now, it's easy for me to just come to the line one box and pick the seed. You understand? So not mixing seeds together is a very important aspect in you storing your seed. So how sustainable is this method? Is it something that it's suitable for your locality and your budget level? So you need to look at all these factors before you choose the choice of storage. The choice of storage for your seed that you need to consider. So that's still some of the ideal condition you need to look into for your seed storage. So, before we move further to how do we really store our seed, there's some key points we need to understand that the seed we want to we're about to save for the next planting season or for another time we might need it. We should know that we are trying to keep that seed in a dormant stage. So for we to not keep that seed in a dormant stage, it means that we need to prevent that seed from anything that will make that seed to being alive or doing its normal physiological state. You understand? So, like now, you should know that when your seed have access to water, it has the ability to sprout or germinate. You understand? So when your seed have access to moisture or to absorb moisture, you understand? It have the ability to still germinate. When your seed have access to light, you understand? It still have access to still live to exhibit its physiological stage like that, from that dormant stage you are keeping it. So anything that will that will make the condition favorable for your seed to exhibit its normal physiological stage, it is important we avoid it. You understand? For when we think about storing a seed. So before we now even go further to store a seed, there's some very key important things we need to look into. Is that okay? Before you, after you, whatsoever seed you are trying to select into for storage, you understand, we need to first make sure that we properly select this seed. This seed is free from pest and disease. These seeds are not broken, and these seeds are still very they don't have holes or broken, so they're still looking very good and quality. They still retain their quality, you understand. So because you don't end up keeping seed that as maybe it's broken, or it has been bitten by insects, or even becoming a powdery substance. So you don't keep that kind of seed. It just keep deteriorating before you need it, you understand. So you need to make sure that that seed is in good condition before you select it for storage. And another very important is that you need to make sure that that seed is properly dry. There is not any trace of moisture retainers in that seed. So those are the key things you need to put into consideration before you even start preparing that seed for storage. Another very important thing you can also do is that, okay, before you subject this seed to storage, it is important you check for germination percentage of this germination test. Like, you conduct a germination test for this seed. Okay, like now you can, when you have like looking using this kind of a sample of this tray now, maybe when I picked a representative of like 10 seed from this tray and I try to plant them, you understand, to sow them. So if I have two seeds that germinate from this, means that only 2% germination I'm having. So but if I have like 9 seed germination, okay, that's a very good germination status. Okay, I have 90% of this seed. So it means that this seed is still very viable and is still intact. So because when you conduct this germination test, it prevents you from storing a seed that is not even viable again. So and you can now, okay, record that, okay, this particular seed so and has a particular germination percentage, and this is the test date you test this germination. You can keep that record, you can write it and label it. So then you can now subject that kind of seed to storage. So before you now subject to storage, ensure that this seed is properly dry, is free from pests and disease, and also it's free from inert material like dirt and the rest. And also you also make sure that this seed doesn't is not broken or have any holes that will allow further infestation of pests. So I think those are the very key important things we need to pay attention to before we subject our seed to storage. After we properly select our seed for storage, so then now we are subjecting to a storage condition. This storage condition should be free from three major things. That is, number one is water and moisture. You understand? Your seed has the ability to reabsorb moisture. So you need to make sure that the kind of storage medium you want to give them doesn't allow them to have access to moisture or water, you understand. So that carton kind of storage I showed you earlier, if it is not properly kept very well, it can be subjected to water, you understand, being in contact with water, and it can end up making these seeds to lose that storage condition you're trying to provide. Another very important thing is this: you need to make sure that a storage condition you want to subject your seeds to doesn't will not have it prevent it from rodent attack. because if you store your seed in a place that have rodents attack, might end up eating up the maybe the carton or anything you want to use to store. So you need to make sure that you properly store this seed from being in contact with rodents. Another thing is that light intensity. You should always prevent your storage medium or whatever kind of storage structure you want to use to not to have in contact with light, you understand, because that can affect uh, the chemical property, the property of the seed. So provided that you can prevent the storage structure not to have in contact with water, moisture, you can maintain the temperature, the temperature of that place, relative humidity, and you can also prevent it from being in contact with from rodent attack. So that kind of seed you are trying to save as a ability to be kept in dormant till the time you need them. So one of the best place your seed like to be, one of the best condition you can subject your seed storage to is a dark room. You understand, whereby there is no access to light. And then the environmental condition is that it has the relative humidity is not too eye, you understand, so that there's not that aside for them ability for them to reabsorb um moisture, you understand. So another thing is the atmospheric condition, like the temperature, you understand, that you are keeping it is not going to be a temperature that is going to even subject that seed to another physiological stress, you understand, or it might even break or might cause damage to their state of dormancy in that place. So it is important so there is a range of temperature to keep your seed provided on so, and this also subject to type of seed you are trying to store. Some seed does best at room temperature, while some seed prefer to be subjected to a specific temperature for storage. So it is best you try to understand what temperature will your seed does well, or what temperature will they be well kept as dormant stage. So this can assist you in knowing what type of storage medium should you subject that seed to. So one of the best storage medium you can subject your seed to is an ematic storage, like a storage medium that's is free from moisture, from air. It's an airtight condition. So like this kind of a jar now, it's when you make sure that your seed is the any type of the you make sure that the type of the size of medium you're the size of bottle or size of jar or size of this kind of airtight container you are going to use will not be too much than the seed you want to subject it to, so that it will be able to retain that it will be able to fill up the space very well. And once you fill up the space, you make sure that the lid is well tight, and it doesn't allow the seed to reabsorb moisture, you understand. Another thing is that you make sure that that seed that bottle or a jar or a plastic that you want to use, make sure that it is well labeled on the date you store it, the name of the seed you have it. So make sure, because it's easy for you to know that this is a particular seed I'm storing in this particular place, and this is what time. So, and you should also avoid reducing the the quantity of the storage after you subject it to storage, because by the time you start fetching or removing or taking out of it, when you are not trying to use everything, we allow reabsorption of moisture. So make sure that once you store that seed and you subject it to proper condition, it is well tight and kept properly in a dry and safe place for them. So in this, you can have assurance of retaining your seed property, and whereby by the time you come back for your germination test, you will still have a good germination rate from that seed. So another innovation that has been done by Purdue University, this is also an Ematic Storage, and this is Peak Bag. That's it is more of improved crop storage. You understand? So it's from Purdue University. It's so that it is an Ematic storage structure that you can use to store your seed, and it is well safe, so you don't need to use any chemicals proper any chemicals in addition to prevent insect infestation. So it is of 3 layers of kind of storage, whereby this outer layer is more of woven, and we have more of polythene, two polythene inner layer inside, so that you can first fill and put it in another polythene layer before you finally subject it to this woven storage. So you need to make sure that you after you've gotten this um big bag storage, you fill it up to the normal size, not fully to the beam, because you have to give some space to allow you for proper tightness. So if you can see it in this second, it's of three stage, whereby you first make sure that this bag is intact, it's still kept intact. You fill it up, select your grains, make sure it's properly dry. After you've fill it up here to the first layer, you don't fill it finish, then you put it to the second thin layer. So then you subject it to the woven too, so that it allow you to start filling, but you don't fill to the beam, so that it can allow you to can see now this is the two polythene layer that is inside. Now you can properly tight it, then you can now finally use the third woven layer to protect it, and you can store this seed more longer. You understand? Most especially for your grain seed, you understand? So you can store this seed more longer without using any chemical or other substance to prevent your sand. This is more eco-friendly for your storage, and this will also reduce your cost of production, you understand, and also make it safe for you yourself. So that those are the things we have here. So to recap of what we've done, we've been able to look into so far. Number one, we'll be able to look at, okay, what are the ideal seed for storage. We know that, okay, we can store seed from our pollinated crops, like seeds that we planted before, and we also clearly know that we cannot store seed from our hybrid seed. Like hybrid seed, we can, after we've planted an hybrid seed, we are not expected to save seed from it and store again. But if we bought an hybrid seed and we are unable to uh sow all the seed at the same time, and we still have some seed left over, we can also kept them very well and still plant them, you understand, provided we can provide this and expected storage condition. We can subject that seed to that storage condition that will still make them to be well kept, you understand. And before we even store our seed, we also emphasize that we should conduct a germination test, so that we can know that the seed we are even storing, either it has high germination percentage or not. So, and after we are sure that this seed has a good germination percentage. Then the other thing we also look into is that, okay, this seed we should make sure that it's properly dry before we store it. It doesn't have any traces of moisture, and this seed is not broken. It doesn't have pest infestation. So we need to look into all this. And okay, we also have to prevent this seed from any condition that will allow it to continue its normal physiological state, like that, to allow it to germinate. So you have to prevent this seed from reabsorbing moisture. We have to prevent this seed from unfavorable temperature that is not ideal for its storage, depending on kind of the type of seed we are trying to store. We also have to prevent this seed from direct light intensity. You understand? So we have those kind of things we have to prevent it from. And we also have to prevent this seed from maybe water, from being in contact with water. And also we have to prevent this seed from rodent attack. So these are the things we need to put into consideration we before we subject our seed to storage. And whenever I want to think about what kind of storage medium should we use for our seed storage, it is important to think of something of an Ematic storage medium. You understand? So a airtight storage medium. So it's something like this is a very good example. It has a good lid that doesn't allow reabsorption of moisture, and we should make sure that the seeds are well filled to the lid, as in to the beam. You understand? So that it will not give space for moisture. You understand? So those kind of things need to be carefully put in place. You understand? So, and after that, we also try to know that we should make sure that this any seed we are trying to store is properly labeled. On we say, okay, we look on the label, we write the name of the seed we are storing, the date of storage, the germination percentage before we store it, and the tested date, the date we conduct that germination percentage. You understand? So we try to record that like that, and then we cannot subject it to storage. And we also emphasize that the best place to store our seed is a dark place, like a dark room that is dry. You understand? And is well dry and cool, that your seed does better. So depending on the type of seed we are subjecting to storage, so we try to know that some seed even are best kept at room temperature, while some seed are being stored are best kept at a specific temperature. You understand? So it is best we know what condition is best in keeping this seed dormant. um to the next planting season. And we also talk about this innovation from Product University. So where they able to help us to innovate this kind of storage bag that we don't need to use chemical in terms of our seed storage anymore, and this can even stay very longer. You understand? So those are the kind of things we've been able to look into today. So I do hope you've been able to learn something today. And for me, I've been able to learn that if irrespective of the kind of seed I'm having, so far I have an excess seed or I have a seed I will not be in need at the moment, provided I can provide the right condition, I can save this seed and still plant them in my next planting season. So, and this can save me cost, you understand, minimize my cost of production. And so these are the valuable insights I've learned today for myself, and I hope you've also learned something meaningful too also today. So thank you for joining me once again. Thank you for listening, and thank you for being part of this Farmers Insight today. So stay tuned and watch us for my next podcast. Thank you so much. I remain Nefisa Lawa. God bless you.